In the past on this channel I've looked at a lot of games by Garry Kasparov, and since then I've had a lot of requests to look at the games of Anatoly Karpov, his great rival, and I'm very happy to oblige, particularly when we have a break from the great elite tournaments. So over the next few clips I'm going to be looking at games by Anatoly Karpov, the world champion from 1975 to 1985, arguably one of the all-time greats in the chess world. I'm a big fan of his games, and when I think of his style, there's one word that comes to mind, and that's control. He loves to outplay his opponents slowly, sometimes just waiting actually, but somehow gradually taking control. But of course, like all the great chess players, he's capable of playing a whole range of positions and in many different styles. And that's what I'd actually like to highlight in these clips. The first game I'd like to look at is a game between Walter Browne, he has the white pieces, the great American champion, six-time US champion Walter Browne, and Karpov has black, has played in Las Palmas in 1977, and at that time, from 75 to 1980, during that period, Karpov really dominated international chess, just before Kasparov came along. But those 5 years, he really was the most consistent player. So here we go, Karpov with black. At the moment he's 2 pawns down. It's been a fluctuating struggle. We join the game after 31 moves. Walter Browne is 2 pawns up, but here Karpov got a pawn back. And the king runs for safety at the side of the board. Now it's not possible for black to play queen h5 because the rook will block. That's no problem. White is still a pawn up, but black should be okay here because white's coordination isn't perhaps what it should be, and the king is a bit vulnerable. For example, well, at the moment queen takes f5 is threatened. I don't like g6. It's possible, but I don't particularly like it as the king doesn't look so good. I think the move I like here is rook c5 to protect the pawn, and if queen h1, as we'll see that move in the game, looking to cut down here, then h6 provides a very safe square for black's king. But here Karpov gambled. That's not a word that we would associate with Anatoly Karpov, but I can say that looks like a gamble to me. I'm sure that Walter Browne was short of time here. Judging by the blunders he made in a moment, I'm sure that was the case. He's a habitual time pressure addict. And I'm sure that Karpov was chancing his arm here. Rook c2 looks very strong. Threatens mate with queen h2. And Browne responded well. He played the queen to h1, of course protecting the h2 pawn, but also looking to cut down that diagonal. Maybe go to a8, maybe go to d5. And this is suddenly rather awkward for black to deal with. For example, if you play h6, that's the move I'd like to play to provide a haven for the king, then queen d5 check is actually a winning move. If the king goes to h7, then queen takes f5 check. That's the problem. Of course, black could fall back with queen e6, which looks at first glance quite strong, particularly as it's kind of lined up against the king. But in fact, white has a very nice move here. Rook b6, not easy to spot, but looks like a good move. If queen takes, then queen d5 check. King goes in the corner, it's mate, and if king f8, then queen f5 check with a double attack, so white is obviously winning there. But maybe queen e6 is the best, you don't have to take that rook. But instead, Karpov gambled. Gambled again, rook d2. Now the point is to cover d5, so queen d5 is prevented. And of course it maintains the pressure on the h-pawn. And here, well, if you had a few seconds on your clock, would you be able to find the win? I don't know. You have to bang out a move before your flag falls. Browne played the wrong move. Queen a8 check is winning. And here, well, not rook b7. Rook b7 would leave actually black's king very well placed, and you can see that e8 square is covered. But in this position, in fact, queen a7 check, a subtle backstep from the queen, and this is a winning move. If the king goes back, it would be mate, and if the king goes up, in this case, queen f7 check is a winning move, and if king e6, well, the best that black can do is to head for a queen and pawn endgame, but this must be winning for white. So in this position, queen a8 check and queen a7 was probably winning. Instead, Browne lashed out with rook b8, but remarkably, black is winning now. There's no defense. If the rook checks randomly, then the king, or the queen as well, the king comes up the board, and now there's no defense to one of these checkmates, and crucially, the queen covers that check on e8. Browne played rook b4, so that at least covers queen g4, but then here's the nice bit. Karpov saw that he can actually set up a mating net. The king steps up the board. After the check, the king just came up. There are no more sensible checks. Mate still threatened here. The queen came back, and now Karpov delivered mate with queen g4, and here, well, that was the end of the game. Of course, if that's taken, then pawn takes, and that's mate. A very nice finish, and as I said, not often we see Karpov gambling in that way. So yeah, I'm going to be posting a couple more clips featuring Karpov's attacking play over the next couple of weeks.